Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the women's soccer portion of Fall Sports Media Day. We have redshirt freshman Ali Schlegel, head coach Eric Adama, and junior Frankie Tagliaferri. We will now open it up for questions.
Hi, everybody. For Frankie and Ali, guys, one of the big things this season was the addition of a lot of new players, especially a lot of younger players. How have you seen them gel with the team so far, and are you pleased with what you've seen?
So I was with a lot of the freshmen over the summer, and I think even just within those 6 weeks, like they've grown tremendously, just from being here over the summer. And I think me, Rachel, Frankie was here a little bit, and a couple others of us upperclassmen were here with them, and I think that made it much easier for them to like gel with the team going into preseason. I've been so pleased with them. They're awesome. They're great people, great players. They're so much fun to be around. I had a blast with them over the summer on the field and off the field, and I think they're going to be a great help to us this season. I think that they're mature, way more mature than I anticipated them to be, and I think that they'll be very great for us this year.
Going off that, I think besides those factors, I think this as well as other schools, but especially this environment is very competitive, so it can be hard to come into a place like this, and especially with the players we have and the coaches we have, and but I think they are fitting right in with our group, and I think we are welcoming them really well, and I think that's going to be a huge factor for us because, yeah, we do have a lot of talent, but if you just have talent and it's not put together, then that doesn't mean anything. So I think us being a team this year is going to be huge for us.
Another addition to your team this year was obviously Sam Coffey, who has maybe a little bit more experience in the collegiate game. Other than her obvious technical skill, what does she bring to you guys as a teammate?
Sam is just, she fits in perfectly. I think all of us, I think with the transfer you could really get anything. You don't know, like, how they're going to mesh, like, with the team or anything. But Sam came in and just, like, blew everybody's socks off. Like, I mean, in terms of, like, her play, like, everybody was kind of like, oh, yeah, she fits right in. But, I mean, her personality, like, brings a lot to the table. Like, she's such a hard worker and really wants to get down to business, and just as someone who wants to get better in everything she does. So she just really fit in with all of us because I think with where she maybe started or came from, like, it wasn't, I don't know if she had as much support here, like, in terms of people wanting to go with her in this journey of being the best. So I think her just, like, drive is something that she brought to the table that was pretty awesome for us.
I think Sam brought experience, which is great. I played with her a little bit at camp, and she was always a great player, great person, so I was very excited when Coach told me that they're recruiting her. So I think just her being here, she's in my class, she has experience, she is obviously a great player, so I think she's a great addition to our team.
Coach, you talked about freshmen, and, obviously Kate Wiesner scored her first goal Friday against Stanford. Have you seen that there's a lot more learning on the fly this year with this freshman group than in years past, or, do you think they're making more of an immediate impact?
Well, obviously, it's all a little bit cyclical, right? You look back in, I'd say 4 years ago, we had a couple of freshmen on the field in terms of Ellie Jean and Kaylee Reel, and so it is a little cyclical from that standpoint. So you start to understand how you need to bring those players into the fold. And to these guys' credit, to Allie's point, they spent a lot of time with them this summer trying to help them feel comfortable and understand the way, first off and foremost, the culture of our program and the expectations. I think these guys did a great job of setting that. So once preseason started, we could be off to the races and really get down to the business. But so much of it is a testament to the way that they brought them in and made them feel comfortable, so that right off the bat they were able to have the confidence they needed to step out in front of 5,000 plus fans on a Friday night and perform and even score a goal for Kate Wiesner against Stanford. But that's a big ask, and I thought that the way they responded was very impressive and indicative of who they are as people and competitors.
And, you said that they've had a lot of miles on them, this freshman group maybe more so than others. Does that give you confidence as a coach that, okay, I made the right decision in bringing these guys to Penn State?
Yeah, there was certainly never doubt in our minds in terms of our decision to bring this this collective group of freshmen. But I do think one thing that we have to be conscious of is the journey right now, and understanding it's going to take some time to bring them along. And these guys, their patience in it, their willingness to help us teach and to work with them and to be patient with the process, because right now it's all about learning from every experience, learning from the different styles of play that we're playing against. It was a very different game on Sunday than it was on Friday night, but understanding you got to be a pro in all of those environments. I think it's easy to get up for Stanford on a Friday night, opening night against Stanford, but to then back-to-back a little different environment on Sunday and to perform the way we did, put 6 balls in the back of the net and have a shutout, I think tells more about our team even than the fight on Friday night.
I think going off that, what's different with this team this year is that we know how to compete, but we also know how to help each other. So we're not besides pushing each other, we're competing against each other. Everyone wants to play and get minutes, but we also want to help each other. And you see it on the practice field, like just the little things when the freshman makes one big play that other people might not realize is huge, like Ellie Jean's getting on each freshman and saying, like, great job, like, that's it, like, you're getting it. So I think that's going to be really big for us.
I just want to know your thoughts on Carly Lloyd potentially becoming a NFL kicker.
I heard that.
Anyone can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 55-yard field goal at the Eagles practice was so impressive, and who knows? You're out there on the world stage, and you never know where it's going to lead to. The success she had in the World Cup, and more power to her. Take those opportunities, run with them, and I'd love to see it. You see female referees in the NFL, female coaches. Why not go out there and see a female player as well? If she can kick a 55-yard field goal as an Eagles fan, I'd take her.
Yeah, I mean, why not, I don't see any reason why not to. I love football. Football is like the best sport ever, minus soccer, I guess. But, I grew up in a football family, like, my whole life. I just wanted to play football. I remember being, 12, and I've created this PowerPoint to why my family should let me play Pop Warner football. But then ECNL started, and I couldn't. But, just seeing that being even a possibility and a thought in people's mind, absolutely. I'd love to see it.
Coach, obviously this year, you started off with Stanford and you have a lot of ranked non-conference opponents. How important is that strength of non-conference schedule for you to lead into Big Ten play?
We've got to know where we stand. We've got to know what our strengths are and how we're able to break down opponents. We also need to know the things that we need to work on. And I think in training, you can expose some of those things, but you need to play against these opponents. We've got our sights set high. There's big expectations within this program. These guys know it. This is what they sought out when they committed to Penn State. But we also promised them that we would play against the best in the country. And I think we've been able to deliver this season with the schedule that we've put together. But that's what we train for. That's what we live for. We came here to Penn State to play against the best and compete against the best, and hopefully at the end of the day be the best. But you don't know that unless you put them in that environment, put all of us in that environment.
And kind of shifting gears a little bit, obviously 2 program alum on the U.S. Women's National Team that won the World Cup. What was that like for you? Did you ever think, I had a little part in that, being that 2 of the girls played for Penn State?
Well, certainly we took a lot of pride in it as a program. I've been able to stay. One of the most special parts of those 2, in particular, Allie Krieger and Alyssa Nair, is their strong connection with Penn State. They are constantly, in fact, before the Stanford game, we showed a clip that unsolicited Allie Krieger had sent to me, text a message to give to these guys about go out there and enjoy every minute on Jeffrey Field and the experience. And that just came through on Friday afternoon of, hey, share this with the girls if you choose to, but that our thoughts are with you, and we would love to be out there one more time on Jeffrey. So not only were we proud of their success, but we're also proud of the way that they continue to be, great role models for our players and for our students here at Penn State.
And Alyssa Nair visited us.
And Alyssa Nair came to the hotel when we were out in Chicago, so these guys want to continue to be a part of our program.
Someone said to me, too, I think they were one of the only ones on the national team that have Penn State alum in their bio. Besides, other players don't really have that with their call, and I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
Coach, in the immediate future, big trip out to California coming up, and then you guys come home to play West Virginia, which is obviously another top-ranked team. What's the key to navigating that within the next few weeks?
Well, first and foremost, we've got the kind of the next chapter with classes starting this week, and so with a lot of young players, just really helping them to make sure they're getting proper rest. I think that's the key to it all in terms of keeping your health. That's the number one piece right now, and so giving them information, using all the resources to help them navigate this week. It's a short week. We get on the road, and so really just making sure we're checking in with them, using these guys to give them advice, to share their experiences with them, going out to California and all the little things, right? And the things that we learned from our physiologist here and our sports psychologist, and using all of our resources and staying hydrated, and how you adapt to the West Coast. But those are all experiences that we need to go through and learn from right now. We had a rain delay when we were at Georgetown, and who knows, that could help us. We've certainly had those throughout the course of the season. So just making sure the way these guys handle those moments is incredible, and I think they've learned to just roll with it, and that's what you have to do in those moments.
You guys talked a little bit about the culture of the team and the program when you were not only talking about introducing new players to it, but also the strong bind that, alums like Allie Krieger and Alyssa Nair have. Could you briefly kind of define what that culture is for you?
I mean, we always talk about our 3 pillars, which are attitude of a champion, blue collar, and united family. And there's just a lot that goes into defining all of those pillars. I think we spend a ton of time of defining those things. Yeah, we really
spring.
Yeah, we're in meetings talking about it, trying to define what it means for each different team too. And I think just through those meetings and through everyone kind of getting on the same page and understanding what that means to us, it's way easier for us to sell it. When you have a good product, it's easy to sell. And I think for us, we have such a good culture, so it's really easy for us to get our freshmen to buy in, because we know it so well, we love it so well, we're, so bought in that just pulling 1 to 9 more people into our program is not that hard, because it's so easy to sell.
And I think you've got to, obviously those are words, and it's got to become a living, breathing part of your culture. And 4 minutes into that Stanford game, we got one of our freshmen in behind, Peyton Linehan. She got a big chance on goal. And when I went back to watch the film, I saw something I hadn't seen at the time, which was Frankie going out of her way to seek her out after that opportunity, to run over her, to give her a high five, and to bring her back in the game to go, hey, we're in it, we're going to go again. And just those little moments that they've learned throughout the course of their time that now they live, I think bringing out those examples of, hey, we can say attitude of a champion, but then seeing it in real life and helping the freshmen to understand that this is what it looks like. Here's a great example of that moment.
Coach, how did you come up with those 3 pillars, and kind of why those 3 pillars? And also, obviously you've been here 13 years, have those pillars changed at all kind of since you've been here?
Well, when I first arrived, this is my 13th season. When I first arrived, those did not exist. And I needed to feel, obviously, Penn State as a university has a wonderful culture, and I needed to feel that and breathe that for a while before I could. I did not take the approach. I took over a winning program, so I didn't take the approach of, I've got to do this right now. I wanted to feel why the success was already there and what we needed to do to get over that next hurdle to win the big games and to advance. And so I let those couple years go by, surrounded myself with an unbelievable staff who I've been able to maintain today with Ann and Tim and Kara. But it wasn't until 2014 that those pillars really came into their own and started to become a living, breathing part of our culture. And from there, to Allie's point, each year we define them based on the different characteristics of that team, and for them to make them their own. And those are 3 broad topics, but what does it really feel like for this team, and what are we missing, and what are some of the tripwires we can find if we're missing that piece, and to be able to deal with those moments.
We spend a lot of time, a lot of people think we just spend time on the field watching film, but we, as a team and with our coaches, our coaches do a great job at looking at the little things that other programs might not look at, and that's just the mental piece. And so we spend a lot of time with that, with our pillars and stuff, and I think that's a huge part of who we are and why it's so easy for us to bring these freshmen in and have them latch on to our pillars and stuff like that.
And, Frankie, obviously you were one of the leading scorers last year. How do you kind of make sure that you don't get complacent and that you don't, worry about kind of last year's results and raise the bar this year?
I have my teammates and my coaches, and we're always competing, and if I'm slacking, they're right there to tell me, and vice versa. So you can't, in this program, you can only go up, and I credit that to our teammates and these coaches because they're incredible. So.
And just a testament to Frankie for probably being the most fit she's ever been in our program, and I think some of that is trusting our strength and conditioning and knowing that if she came back and spent some time here this summer, she could get a real good start. But you know, these guys have learned how to take care of their bodies and how to push so that they can continue to grow and get better, and she's a living example of it.
So obviously, you know, you've been around a lot, you've won a lot. You know, do you ever look at teams kind of at the start of the season and say, okay, you know, you remind me of this player from this year, and we fired on all cylinders that year, so you know, you feel good about the upcoming season?
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of go the other way with it, and I think every experience is a little bit different. Certainly, you learn a little bit from each team, but to not get too caught up about what it looks like at the beginning of the season. That's your starting point. You're never going to win any championships in game one, as we told the team after that match. But it's who grows the most, it's who embraces the journey, and which team has each player embrace their role so that they can continue to get better and better. And our goal is to make sure that there are more players contributing in October than we're able to contribute in August, because we worked with them, we developed them, we had a plan for them, and they grew and got better and better. And so come October, that we could deal with anything that came along at that point because we had more players that were able to contribute.
Coach, you mentioned after the Stanford game how depth was a big issue and how you were hoping to improve that going forward. Within the past week, has that improved, and are you feeling like you're in a better place going into this next, stretch?
Yeah, these guys, our trainer is, as far as I'm concerned, the best in the business, and Andrea Thomas, and she just puts hours upon hours, and they believe in her, and so you find them in the training room, and it's all, so much of it's preventative, but when we do take on something, the work that she does and the diligence and the time that she puts into it, these are it's like they're her own children, and and these young adults are invested in her, she's invested in them, and she takes great pride in getting them back on the field.
Allie, what were some things you learned during your redshirt season, and how nice did it feel to finally get out on the field?
I think some of the most important things I learned my redshirt year was just, I think that I just kind of like to sit in the locker room and soak everything that was coming at me in, because although I couldn't make necessarily an impact on the field, I think it was really important for me to just see what points, like, I think you have a different perspective when you're on the bench or when you're redshirt, because you can't get in, so the kind of like that competitiveness is a little bit taken away, and I'm really just there to help and see what my teammates need. So I think I just learned how to be a teammate. Like, I really learned how, like, who needed what at what times. Like, if we were having a bad game, like, did I need to go talk to someone, or did I need to share my opinions, or did I not? Did somebody need a hug? I think the best part of my redshirt year was just being able to be a teammate. Like, that's all I was, and it was the best thing ever. Like, getting to know everyone and just be kind of a calm when things got crazy. I think it was just the best. It was the best thing ever, and but the even better thing was getting to play against Stanford. It was a long journey, and I think being like the second ACL was even harder to do again. But again, like, I remember, like, during our home opener, I was like, oh, like, this is my why. Like, this is why I'm going to go through this injury, was totally my teammates. And so I think it just became a full circle to play in the home opener. And it was just a great experience that had a lot leading up to it, and a lot of hard work, and just a lot of support from my staff and teammates.
And again, just a testament to Allie. You look at what she did for us last season, and at the end of the season, her teammates voted her Rookie of the Year. So talk about embracing your role and really making sure you can have an impact regardless of number of minutes. Here's somebody that impacted her teammates so much, even though she had to redshirt due to injury, that she put the time and invested in her teammates enough that at the end of the season, they voted her their Rookie of the Year. And that tells you everything you need to know about Allie Schlegel.
And I think our team's really good at doing that and taking on the role that we are given at the time, because another example is Kristen Schnurr. Yep. She helped me so much last year playing. We competed so much and we helped each other, and then unfortunately she got hurt last spring. But she could have been upset or not wanted to go for another year or help us out this year, but right away she said, no, I want to be with you guys, and Frankie, I'm going to help you up top, and every halftime we're going to talk, I'm going to tell you what to do, and that's going to be huge for us this year, and I think our team is really good at embracing the jobs that we have to fulfill.
I think that's a good one to end it on. That is the conclusion of the women's soccer portion of Fall Sports Media Day. Thank you, everybody.
I was like, I have to do them in alphabetical order. That's what I thought about.
Nailed it.
The most. Thank you.